Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Terrence and Jill. We just want to say thank you. It's been a long time since we've actually even done a video together. And
6 months.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago or a week ago, we was looking at the videos that we'd already did and saying that a lot of people, so many of you have been viewing them throughout that period of, where we've been absent. And, we went and looked at some of the comments and we really appreciate all the comments, all the likes, all the subscriptions. And so, we just got led to, doing another video.
Another one.
So here we go.
Yeah, it's like we can't stop. Oh my gosh. So I guess we should just jump in because this is a topic that, to be quite transparent, is kind of one of those topics we've had a difficult time trying to figure, trying to put words to it. Anytime you think addressing anything on a spiritual level, it's hard to communicate that. What we've learned over the last couple of months being together is that there is no blueprint for love.
No.
Love is so powerful that it has its own way of moving, and you're going to either surrender to it or you're not. But there's no blueprint. And so today we're going to try to talk about this topic of physical attraction versus spiritual.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, even mentioning it's like we tried to do this video last week and we just couldn't, so we had to sit on it for a moment. But we're going to try to talk about the spiritual versus the physical attraction versus the spiritual.
Yes, and before we get started, we got to do disclaimer because I'm telling you, we're not telling you this is how it's supposed to be. We're not telling you this is what you should be looking for. We're just saying this is our story.
This is us.
And this is us interpreting what we went through and how we interpreted what we went through and what it meant to us.
Right.
And why these things are important to us.
Right.
So just take that with, a grain of salt, and don't, because we don't want people going out here saying that we're trying to tell them they got to do X, Y, Z.
Do it this way, or unless it's not the right thing, or
Yeah, this is just us basically explaining what's happened to us and why we think these things are important to us.
Yes. So I guess the first thing we need to put out there: are we attracted to one another? That's the first. Let's talk about that first. Is there a physical attraction to one another?
But we can answer that with it right here. Yes, there's a physical attraction.
Yes,
absolutely.
He's handsome.
Yes,
but it goes so beyond that, really, really, really beyond that. So we got 8 points we want to talk about, and we're just going to jump in. And I do want to say this. Again, because of the power of love, it is a spiritual thing, and if you believe God is love, then you got to have a spiritual connection. And then, as the scripture, it's 1 John 4 says, "Try the spirit by the spirit." So if you want love, it's got to be a spiritual. You got to, it's got to be a God connection. All right. So the very first thing, what attracted us spiritually, beyond the physical, is that we are equally yoked. And with that being said, it's not just a physical attraction, it's a spiritual connection. All right. It's a spiritual connection. It's beyond attraction, it's a connection. So we are equally yoked.
Yeah, it's been such an attraction to us spiritually, especially to me, to the point to where when I first saw her on my profile, I didn't know how she got there. And if you've seen any of the videos, if you listen to them, you know that we talked about those year and a half to 2 years that that brought everything together before we actually even saw each other for the first time. But there was a huge attraction that was spiritually, that continued to pull us at each other and continue to draw us closer to each other before we even seen each other physically. So that was very important to me, because I didn't just want a physical someone that was just beautiful on the outside. I wanted someone that was beautiful on the inside, and someone that was God-fearing, and she definitely fits the bill on that. But I believe that physical attraction was there, but what was more important to me was the spiritual attraction, because I couldn't get away from that no matter what I did. If I just tried to gaff it off and say, you know what, she's just another pretty face, it didn't work. I always went back to my profile and pulled her picture up, just to, who's this woman? Where'd she come from? And that intriguing, that pulling, that interest just continued to draw me closer to the point where I actually reached out to say, who are you? Where you come from? Basically, I didn't say those words, but that's what I was pulling at. It's like, you know what? Where'd you even come from? And so, yeah, the spiritual attraction in the beginning was everything for me.
And it's almost like, in the Bible, when they talked about when Mary and Elizabeth were pregnant, and Elizabeth was pregnant with John the Baptist, and Mary was pregnant with Jesus, and how when they saw each other, the two women came together, the babies in their bodies leapt.
Yes.
And that was, so it's a connection. It's a connection beyond the physical. It is a deeper connection. And I believe that's how it starts. If he has God, you have God, or he has God, I have God, then there's going to automatically be a connection that is beyond the physical. So that was the first thing. Right.
Yes, and to take that even further, I mean, even if you look at the beginning of the Bible, when God talks about how he recognized that Adam was alone and he put him to sleep. I mean, he put him to sleep immediately and took a rib. Of course, everybody knows the story. But the thing is, I believe her having my rib in her, that draw, that attraction, that's what, to me, ultimately says she's my soulmate. Not anybody else's soulmate. She's my soulmate. I got my rib back. So that, to me, is the attraction and how I interpret why she and I are together and why we're fit for each other, is that she has my rib inside her.
Right.
And to me, I couldn't believe that if it wasn't a spiritual and I wasn't a spiritual person.
Right. I agree. So number 2, the second, the spiritual versus their physical. The second thing is it's a higher dimension, meaning that he was unfamiliar, than anything that I had before or seen or felt or knew. And that drew me. It was like he was saying, who is she? Where did she come from? And that's how I felt, like, who is he? And it made me drawn, that attraction, or that connection drew me closer to him. I wanted to know more about him, and it was beyond any body, any type of personality, any characteristics. I was not familiar. I hadn't seen it before in the physical. Like, I could not compare him to anybody else. It was beyond what I had ever had.
It's funny you say that too, because, we talked about this the other day when, like she said, we looked at making this video a week ago. And one of the things she told me was, and she mentioned this maybe on one of the other videos, is that when we were going through those first 2 years, when we were actually just appearing in each other's areas, her showing up on my platform, on my platform, my timeline.